Sp0hc.
The sun is down, the streetlights are on, and you're listening to Largely the Truth with Brennan Storr.
To all you restless sleepers and midnight creepers, bleary-eyed truckers in the graveyard shift, this is Brennan Storr, and you're listening to Largely the Truth. Whether you're staring at a screen or the lines on the road, all is well, and for the next hour it's going to stay that way. Because I'm here, you're there, and together, we're going to explore the night. Welcome back to the little independent music show that could. As always, I'm coming to you from the corner booth of the Neon Garden, at the edge of the map where the sea meets the sky. And I am happy to be here. If you're new to the show, Largely the Truth is a production of Ghost Story Guys Media, and patrons of that show get this show 30 days early. They also sometimes get an extended version of the show. And if you want to find out more, including how to sign up, head on over to patreon.com/ghoststoryguys. Every month here on Largely the Truth, I strive to bring you the best and brightest from the last 30 days of independent music. I take some time, troll Bandcamp, drop as much money as I can possibly afford on indie music, and bring it back to you like some kind of squirrel showing off his collection of nuts. And I'm not going to pursue that metaphor because I was going to talk about my great nuts, and, well, none of us need to have that conversation. However, the point of all this is that sometimes I find a new favorite when I'm out there looking at music, and on this show, I am so lucky to have an interview with one of those new favorites. Joining me tonight to talk about not only his 3 recent singles, but the independent music scene in Honolulu, Hawaii, where he is based. Tonight, I am truly blessed to be joined by Kai Kunipo, also known as the artist Sp0hc. Kai, welcome to Largely the Truth.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, man. It really is. I found your second single, Fiboom, when I was putting together my February show. I believe it was released in January. And it hooked me immediately. You and I were talking a little bit off air, and I told you that I had that song on repeat long enough that I was skirting divorce, but it was worth it. I'm a big fan. And as I mentioned, you've very graciously agreed to come here and talk about not only your music but about the Hawaiian music scene. And before we do all that, I'm really curious to know how has the pandemic been in Hawaii? I haven't really heard much.
We've been pretty locked down here compared to other places in the U.S.
Okay.
I think part of that too is just we have a lot of community feeling here that may not be in other places where everyone just wanted to just right away and open up and kind of not even think that there's anything going on. Yeah,
there has been a disheartening amount of that crap up here in Canada too. So it's nice to know that the sense of community exists somewhere. So for our listeners who are discovering you and your music for the first time, you've been a musician for a while, as I understand it, but Sp0hc is a pretty new project.
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk us through how it came together?
Yeah, this is a great way for me, I guess, actually talk about things, because a lot of my music have been just with bands that I play with, but the pandemic really brought more of my creative side out to do things that I want to do, because I wasn't playing live anymore. Just started from scratch. Got Logic. I didn't have Logic before that. I would just use other free programs. So everything just kind of snowballed from there. The name Sp0hc, actually, the way that I spell it is Sp0hc, but backward it's Chops, which was a high school nickname.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta ask, what was Chops referring to?
I mean, I would hope that it was referring to some type of musical chops, but it was actually because of my braces.
Oh, no. Oh, man. I was very lucky in high school. I was called a lot of bad names, but never had any nicknames that stuck. I shudder to think what that would have been. When you were gigging, you were a bass player, right?
Yeah, so I played bass and I also play keys.
Oh, okay.
So there are multiple bands that I've played with throughout, I guess what you would call a musical career. I mean, it's just a passion of mine. So I wouldn't say I'm a musician, at least a career musician in that aspect.
Right. How long have you been playing gigs?
For around 10 years or so.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Different projects, different people I've been playing with, but there's a couple of different bands that I've played with throughout that whole time. And that again is just starting out from just the love of music and getting together with your friends and jamming.
All right. So Kai is going to stick with us for the remainder of the show, and we've got lots to talk about. But for now, we're going to start with the tunes. With this first track, we're going from Hawaii all the way over to Sweden with Ignorante Jordbor, which apparently translates to ignorant earthworm, and the track Bloodbad on My Mind.
I run like from the past. I'm not gonna end up with your soldiers on the top. They never find me, I know they never tell. I'm not gonna end up, I'm gonna feel your pal. The dogs are full, the starting with the gang. Warfare, warfare, always genocide. The dogs are full, don't even know your name. Hey, you can find it, it's better when you want.
that you'd be by my side. But after this whole disaster, I can swallow all my pride. I can do this without you. Never thought I would say those words. It's not always about you. You're not the only one who's hurt. And when I call out your bullshit, you can never accept the blame. Why do you wanna push it? It's like you like to play this game. I get fed up with the bitching. I just wanna be by myself. I'm tired of always wishing I was with somebody else. Take me home. I'm finally feeling myself again. I really think I'll be okay. Wisdom gave me a second chance on means. I'm finally feeling myself again. I really think I'll be okay. Wisdom gave me a second chance on means. I'm finally feeling myself again. I really think I'll be okay. Wisdom gave me a second chance on means. I'm finally feeling myself again. I really think I'll be okay. Wisdom gave me a second chance on
Welcome back. That was a Largely the Truth favorite artist. That was Star Madman with Wisdom from her single of the same name, released by the California-based label Headphone Music. Star Madman is the project of composer Amanda J. And if you like what you heard, you can find more by clicking the link below the post or by checking out the Amazon Prime series Death and Compromise. The score for that series was composed by her. She's a talented lady and very, very friendly as well, actually. She's one of the indie artists who, like Spock, reached out and, has been in touch the odd time saying thank you for sharing her work, which is not necessary but is always appreciated. Before that was one I was really eager to share with you guys, and that was the UK punk band The System with Dogs of War. And that one I wanted to share because that track's actually a year older than I am. It was released in 1982 on the Warfare EP. And The System was a UK punk band based out of Northern England, based out of the town of Wigan. They were formed in 1980 by members of bands The Atoms and The Lethal Objects. And The System was actually managing to really hit their stride until 1983. They were touring around the UK and had planned to tour Europe when, and I swear to God this is a real thing, their tour manager was hit by a bus. And that was the end of that. I shouldn't laugh. I don't think he was killed, but he was out of action for a while. And so that was the end of the European tour. Their vocalist quit in November that year, and that was pretty much it for The System. And the reason this matters is because one of the members of The System, Jimmy Maguire, who played bass and wrote most of the songs, he passed last year. And so the surviving members are, with the help of the UK-based label Anarchy, repressing the Warfare EP and selling vinyl copies via Bandcamp. And then all the proceeds are going to benefit the Spinal Unit Action Group, which is a charity in Northern England. They're also apparently planning a memorial show / fundraiser for Maguire's family on May 31st, and I mean, hey, I hope they can pull it off, but Jesus, that's a terrifying thought right there. A live concert in a pandemic. No, thank you. So again, that was The System and Dogs of War. Finally, we started with Ignorante Yordbor and Bloodbad on My Mind from their album Bloodbad. Bloodbad translates to bloodbath. And that is exactly everything I know about Ignorante Yordbor. I tried looking around, wasn't a ton of information, so if you like it, check out the rest of their album. And of course, all the independent artists I play on tonight's show, you will find links to their Bandcamp pages at the bottom of this post. And if you can support the independent artists, folks, please do. Even $1 makes a difference to an independent artist. And even if it's not because of the funds, it's just knowing that someone out there cares enough to say, hey, this is for you, I'm listening and I'm acknowledging you. That makes a difference. And speaking of independent artists, you have been waiting so patiently, Kai, and I really appreciate that. When we were getting started, you mentioned that you had been gigging for 10 years as a live musician. Can you tell me a little bit about what the live music situation is like in Honolulu? Or I guess it's Oahu, right?
Yes, yeah, the main island.
Yeah, so generally in Oahu, what's that like?
Venues around are more of like anywhere from small dive bars to medium range venues. And then we do have some outdoor events and things like that. But for the most part, my experience has been in more just like smaller to mid-range venues. And I don't know exactly like the time period, but definitely before I had a family, because now I have 2 kids. So yeah, before that, I was probably gigging like every weekend and balancing like my regular day job and practices during the week. And then we'll pick up gigs every weekend.
That's a lot to balance without having kids. I can't imagine trying to make all that work while having a family.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Is it difficult to balance all those things? The work and the social responsibilities and family and the music? Do you find yourself having to intentionally carve out time for that?
I definitely have to have some type of structure because I don't want it to impede any of my family time and things like that. Of course, like if I have a show or something, then I take it more of like a job that I have to do. So my wife understands, but if it's just getting them day-to-day things I got to do, getting them to school, getting them ready for bed and all that kind of stuff, I'll make sure to try to get all of that stuff done. And then when everyone is asleep, then I can let the creativity flow.
There's another artist I've played on here a number of times, Vampire Stepdad, and he's been pretty open about how difficult it's been during the pandemic to make that time, to kind of carve out space for creativity and really invest in it, just because, the world's on fire and it's hard to make art. Is that something you're finding too? Do you find it's kind of difficult to make that happen?
Somehow it's been happening. It's kind of like therapy as well, so.
And in addition to making music, you've also started a label, right?
Yes. Yeah. So funny thing, learning how to get my music distributed, I use DistroKid, which is a great tool for a lot of independent artists because now we can just click a few buttons, pay a fee, and your music will get distributed to all of the major online retailers. With the process of that, you can also include like your own label name and other types of things like that. So when I first put out my first song, Memory, I created this fake label to go with the music, and that's Nioi Sound.
And that is a Hawaiian pepper, I believe you said, right?
Yeah. Hawaiian chili pepper, or Nioi could just be a pepper in general. So I took from just the reggae culture of a lot of people use like fire and other things. So that was my take of using our local culture to just express like a hot sound or a spicy type of fire that I'm trying to not really say that my music is hot, but just give it some type of its own like spice and flair to it.
Well, as I said before, I've listened to Faboom, 100,000 times, and the new single, Harmony, is really great too. It's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, no, it's just a statement of fact. So whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it because it's working. And I'm looking at your Instagram here. You also have a hot sauce. Is that a real thing?
Yes, that's another thing too, where the name kind of grew out of, because I have that Nioi, that pepper. I grow it in my yard with some other ingredients, and I've always just made it on my own. It's chili pepper water. It's like our local hot sauce. It's it's not quite a hot sauce. It's more liquidy. So it's not as thick as a regular hot sauce, but you can find it in a lot of the cupboards of people here, their fridges, even at the local eateries. And it's just another type of condiment just to give a little bit of spice and flavor.
So let me get this straight. You have kids, you work full time, you have a wife, you make music and hot sauce. Dude, you are killing me. Oh, man. All right, so we're going to play a little more music while I deal with all that shame. Coming up next on Largely the Truth, this is Lil Sunray with production by Lord Hashikage. This is Kintsugi.
Lord Hoshikabe.
We are the only ones who know where we belong. We are the only ones who know. We are the only ones who know where we belong. We are the only ones who know. We are the only ones who know where we belong. We are the only ones who know.
Musik ist wie im Hochsommer barfuß, den von der Sonne weich gewordenen Straßenkick zwischen den Zähnen fühlt, wie der Geruch nach Fastfood, Chlor und Eis, das Prickeln in der Brust, bevor ich zum ersten Mal vom Zehner spring. Wie wenn es morgens nach Espresso riecht, neue Bücher, frisch gemähter Rasenpet, ich höre das 4711 Parfüm von meiner Großmutter. Es wirft mich direkt zurück an einen verlorenen Platz, den ich früher mein Zuhause nannte. Ich schätze, es ist ein bisschen mehr als depressive Rapmusik, die nebenher beim Autofahren am Handy spielt. Es ist zum Pause machen und die Sterne blicken und das Heimweh nach einem Ort, den es nicht gibt, im Herz zu fühlen und das Beste draus zu machen. Denn es stimmt, manchmal zerbreche ich, weil ich menschlich bin, aber Leben ist Kintsugi und ich wachse mit den Aufgaben.
Musik ist wie Heimkommen nach einem stressigen Arbeitstag, Alter. Kleidung und alles fallen lassen, Fülle in die Badewanne, Wasser, Anahata im All schweben, hänge in der Galaxie. Manchmal ist das Leben schwieriger als Hiragana und Katakana. Alles bricht ein wie ein Panzerknacker. Sammel Heilkräuter, wenn ich durch den Wald stolper. Schieße mit Betäubungspfeilen, wenn ich auf den Feind feuer. Bester Zeitpunkt, um zu sagen, das ist mein letztes Album. Unterschätzt wie ein nettes Hallo. Bin auf keins ein Pimp, wie Iceberg Slim. Eher cute as fuck und sprunghaft, so wie Eichhörnchen. Gebe meinem Life nen Sinn. Kreativität ist balsam, wenn ich einsam bin.
feelings you gave to me. Reminiscing, pulling me back into the deep. Feelings that I have for you. If you really only knew. I remember, still remember, till this day. It's hard to forget you, I know. Every day, every way. I really wanna say I'm sorry. I really wanna say I knew. Memory is all I have to go on without you. Can't you see? Time slips away. What more can we do? I remember, now it's all here. I can see you so vividly. Memory is all I have to hold on to. As I slip away from your memory, don't you forget you're special to me. Do you remember? It's a breeze so ever gently. Was it right here? Now it fades away quietly. I really wanna know if you share the feelings that I knew. 'Cause I remember, still remember, till this day. It's hard to forget you, I know. Every day, every way. I really wanna say I'm sorry. I wish I could have really knew. Memory is all I have to go on without you. Can't you see? Time slips away. What more can we do? I remember, now it's all here. I can see you so vividly. Memory is all I have to hold on to, yeah. As I slip away from your memory, I want you to know you're special to me. As I slip away from your memory, don't you forget you're special to me. Do you remember me? I can see you so vividly. Please don't let it fade. Memories don't go away. Memories, remember me. I can see you so vividly. Memories don't let it fade. Memories don't.
Welcome back to Largely the Truth. We started that set with Kintsugi by Lil Sunray, with production by Lord Hoshikage. Gotta say, I never thought that Japanese-influenced German hip-hop would be something I'd play on the show, but here we are. Before that was One Armed Droid with Empire from their album Japan. And finally, our last track there was Memory, the very first single by our friend Sp0hc. So Kai, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about Memory, about your inspirations behind it and how the song came to be.
Yeah, so Memory, that song comes from a special part of my musical experience. And like how I said, I play with several bands throughout my time. One of the main ones right now is Kapu System. And another band that we used to go strong before, and then we kind of went on and off, is called Ainati Collective. If you listen to the song, it has a kind of like a bittersweet sentiment to it. It's about the band and just missing it. Like, we used to be able to play a lot of gigs before, and then just time goes by, people get careers or get families, and yeah, it's not the same as it used to be. That kind of just wrote itself. So that was coming from that emotional place, and it grew out from there. So I didn't really have a certain inspiration to begin with. If anything, it was more of taking that context of what I wanted the song to be, and then also kind of molding it into universal type of like songwriting instead of something so specific.
For whatever it's worth, you really nailed it, because obviously I have no frame of reference for making reggae music or being in a band or anything like that, but the song still really hits home on a nostalgic level. And even if you, again, don't have those particular life experiences, it still hits you. It's a really, really lovely song.
Oh, thank you.
Time for another set of 3. Coming up next on Largely the Truth, this is Air Show and Border Town.
See the sun rising above the fire horizon. What's in store for me today? get to see you again and play Remember When. Is everything gonna be okay? Oh, that cemetery wind, Lord, it feels so cold, you know it. It chills me to the bone. I miss the warmth of your touch and your smile so much, you know I've never felt so alone. I wish you were still alive so you could meet my wife and get to know my children. But we know life's unfair. Maybe I'll meet you up there when the final chapter's written. Oh, that cemetery wind, Lord, it feels so cold, you know it. It chills me to the bone. Miss the warmth of your touch and your smile so much, you know I've never felt so alone. Oh, that cemetery wind, Lord, it feels so cold, you know it. It chills me to the bone. Miss the warmth of your touch and your smile so much, you know I've never felt so alone. Oh, that cemetery wind, Lord, it feels so cold, you know it. It chills me to the bone. Miss the warmth of your touch and your smile so much, you know I've never felt so alone. Oh, that cemetery wind, Lord, it feels so cold, you know it. It chills me to the bone. Miss the warmth of your touch and your smile so much, you know I've never felt so alone.
We can be boom, level, a Sherman up the round. Enough of them don't know about the style and pattern. Make up a boom, I room, I rattle them around. I'm on a tone, I come, I see the level of the sound. Make up a boom, a who, a Sherman up the round. Enough of them don't know about the style and pattern. Make up a boom, I room, I rattle them around. I'm on a tone, I come, I see the level of the sound. A Babylon, we battle, play the rhythm, we ride it like a horse in saddle. Heavy bass with the shadow. This is a music assault, watch out. Warning shots fired, real out. One come again, fill up the room. Vibe so hard, cause we bring in the boom. When the time comes, it will heat up your mind. So seek and you shall find a rhythm, a reason, a rhyme. Oh, make it feel so nice. Feel it in your chest, it's a full court press. We come in touching our friend, not stress. But can you handle what's next? We can be boom, level, a Sherman up the round. Enough of them don't know about the style and pattern. Make up a boom, I room, I rattle them around. I'm on a tone, I come, I see the level of the sound. Make up a boom, a who, a Sherman up the round. Enough of them don't know about the style and pattern. Make up a boom, I room, I rattle them around. I'm on a tone, I come, I see the level of the sound. We can be boom, level, a Sherman up the round. Enough of them don't know about the style and pattern. Make up a boom, I room, I rattle them around. I'm on a tone, I come, I see the level of the sound. Make up a boom, a who, a Sherman up the round. Enough of them don't know about the style and pattern. Make up a boom, level, I rattle them
Welcome back to Largely the Truth. We're here tonight talking with the Hawaiian reggae artist Sp0hc, also known as Kai Kunipo. And Kai's been telling us about not only his history within the Hawaiian music scene, but also his 3 singles, the first of which he released last August. And of course, the track we just heard was his second single, that was Fiboom. And Kai's going to tell us a little bit about that, but just before we do, the first of the 3 tracks you just heard was the Portland, Oregon-based Air Show and their track Border Town. That's from their Lost in Space EP. After that was Wicked Stitch from Spokane, Washington, with Cemetery Wind. And that one was a bit of an anomaly. Every month I usually end up with a track that maybe wasn't quite released in the previous month, and this is one of those. But the reason I left it in is because even though I found it while searching for 2021 material, and it somehow came up, even despite it being an album released in 2016, it just sounds so familiar to me, but I have never heard it before. And I don't know if you guys have ever had anything like that, where you hear a track and you think, Jesus, this is so good, this is from somewhere. But try as you might, you can't seem to find that out. And as near as I could tell, that's an original tune. So I don't know what it is, but it's just one of those songs. And I thought, well, I gotta share this with the folks who listen to Largely the Truth. So that was Wicked Stitch and Cemetery Wind. And then there was Fiboom. Kai, take it away.
Yeah, Fiboom is coming from a different place. If you noticed on it, it's saying featuring Sherman.
Right.
Yeah, so part of this whole, I guess, like shtick of what I was trying to go for is like how I said about using Sp0hc as my artist name. Also kind of playing on the whole just like sci-fi with Star Trek. I grew up watching those types of shows, so it kind of fit in nicely. And then I thought about just creating kind of my own, I guess, universe within this whole musical project that I'm doing. And it's just all a passion project. So anything that I want to express and think about, I just want to be able to put it out there and not even think about like if it's something that people will be receptive to, or if it's something that is going to bring me somewhere or make me more followers or money or any type of things, of that. Just strictly just for the art and being able to have a creative release. Sherman is another alias that I created out of this. So using that whole Star Trek type of inspiration, I have another person as well with the Nioi Sound. I also linking onto Sp0hc Leonard Nimoy, and my other alias is Leonard Nioi.
Okay.
Yeah. So Sherman fits in all of this. He is a robot that Sp0hc and Leonard created. So Leonard making his way to Earth and finding Sp0hc, and they just become this musical duo. And in order to help them out, they create a studio helping robot, aka Sherman. And through there, they're able to do more.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah, so Fiboom was my way of trying to create a different character, so Sherman, and because he's a robot, trying to voice myself more in a monotone robotic way. And I don't know if you have seen, I made like a little video for it. I put it up on my YouTube, and it just kind of showing Sp0hc working on Sherman and creating him.
No, I haven't, but I'm going to look that up immediately.
It's a little just done on my own, so it's more up to interpretation, just the different angles and constantly flipping back and forth from Sp0hc to Sherman. And Sp0hc is trying to show him different things, like giving him a bass to play with. Show him how to actually move around and do things.
I'm just looking at it right now, and it is really cool. The invention of it and doing the whole thing again, just by yourself. God, I respect the hell out of that.
Yeah, definitely took a lot of planning. Just putting it down like on a storyboard, so I know what shots I wanted to make it easier to piece it all together.
So, it is time for one last set of music, followed by one more round of talk between me and Kai, and then it's time for us both to head off into the night. Getting us started on our final set of 3 for tonight's Largely the Truth, this is Megan McDuffie and 13th Hour.
Out to the darkness to steal him.
see a little glimmer. Come on, let that light shine through. I know you feel it too. The energy around us, like two frequencies in tune. Deep down in my soul, it's a feeling that I can't control. You got me going. There's something that you know, 'cause it's got me coming back for more. It's got me going. Flowing through the air, resonating everywhere. Harmony together. Flowing through the air, resonating everywhere. Harmony together. Flowing through the air, resonating everywhere. Harmony together. Flowing through the air, resonating everywhere. Harmony together.
Welcome back. As I mentioned before, that is our final set of 3, and we started off with the synth pop powerhouse Megan McDuffie and her latest single, 13th Hour. Well, actually, it's not her latest single, because as of this recording, there is a new single, Wicked Thing, which is already on Bandcamp. So, it's her second most recent single. And it was inspired by the film Labyrinth, which I have not yet seen. And I feel like someone's going to take some kind of movie card away from me for admitting that, but I just never got around to it, never got into high fantasy stuff. But if you like Labyrinth, well, go pick up a copy of Megan McDuffie's 13th Hour. Then we had Wings in Hand from New York City's Birdcatcher, and that's from their album Aber-i-Bihar. And our last track of the night was the latest and arguably greatest single from the man himself. That was Harmony by Sp0hc. And Kai, would love to hear about your inspiration behind Harmony.
Yeah, so this one, I was just playing around with different styles. Part of the goals that I want to do with just this project in general is I definitely gravitate towards reggae music. So I want to try to pick from the different genres of reggae. I know you said that you're not too knowledgeable about reggae, but it does have a long history coming from Jamaica till now. And just the different innovations and ways the music has changed throughout time, coming from like the early ska sound and calypso, and that type of drum beat and feel is what started all of that. Everyone knows Bob Marley, and that's probably the biggest name ever that everyone in the world will know, coming from the roots reggae scene. That type of music I always gravitated towards because it was a voice of the people. It wasn't your pop music and just singing about love 24/7. They were coming from what they were going through at that time with depression and politics and all of that. The band that I do play with currently right now, Kapu System, we strive to use reggae as a platform for like the Hawaiian people and the voice. If you don't know too much about just the struggles of the Hawaiian people, it just stems down to colonization, being an island in the middle of the sea. A bunch of islands in the middle of the sea that are stepping stones from America to Asia. Definitely, we're going to be a target for people wanting to come there and colonize us. With any type of other colonized people comes all of those struggles and oppression.
I'm curious, Kai, you work in higher education, right?
Yes, I do, at University of Hawaii.
And so are the struggles of the Hawaiian people something that is incorporated into the curriculum of higher education there? Or is that something that you and people such as yourself are advocating for?
So this is, it's great that we're able to have it included. So at UH, I work at the School of Hawaiian Knowledge. So we're able to have our own Indigenous organization where we can actually have master's programs to graduate with Hawaiian studies.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very cool. I'm curious, with Hawaiian studies, is the Hawaiian language part of that? And I apologize if I'm using the wrong term.
Yeah, so I mean, Hawaiian is your term that you would use. The language itself would be Olelo, Hawaii. Olelo, the language. No, we don't. So that's part of the detriment that happened with other indigenous cultures around the world with colonization is when we were colonized, one of the main things that happens is you're supposed to assimilate into the colonizing culture, and taking away people's own language and culture. Like, what do? You know, there's a whole just generation of knowledge just lost because of it.
Is that struggle and that history part of what informed Harmony?
No.
Oh.
Harmony is completely different from that. Yeah, Harmony was more of just other emotions of just like with my family. It kind of came out of just my relationship with my kids at first, of just having that feeling of feeling like in harmony with them, and also the harmony I feel and love for music as well.
Before I wrap things up, you mentioned off air that you've got another single coming, and I wonder if you wanted to tell everyone about that.
Yeah, so that track should be out, uploaded up to DistroKid, and this will be another way to introduce. The song itself is called Introducing, and it's my way to introduce Leonard Nioi, aka the creator of Nioi Sound. And that song just gives a little backstory of who he is. To go back to what you're talking about, I was juggling around with ideas of using him kind of as a metaphor for the struggles and things that we have as Hawaiian people.
I love it. And there's so many different directions you can take it. I'm genuinely excited to see where you go from here, and I'm sure our listeners feel the same. So make sure to keep an eye out on Sp0hc's Bandcamp page, and of course on streaming platforms everywhere for that new track. Kai, thanks so much for being here, man. I've enjoyed getting to know you on social media and really enjoyed this conversation here tonight. Where can our listeners find you online?
My main avenue right now is on Instagram, instagram.com/Sp0hc, Sp0hc. It's not an O, it's a 0. And then the other one, Linktree, linktree.com/Nioi, Nioi. And then that has all of the links for Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, any other important things, merch stuff, all on there.
Perfect. Well, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me. Live long and shaka.
Huge thanks to Kai Kunipo, the artist known as Sp0hc, for joining me here tonight on Largely the Truth. If you check the show notes below this post, you'll find links to all of Kai's social media, his Bandcamp, and of course, Bandcamp for all the other artists I've played on tonight's show, and all those other good things. As always, big thanks to Peter of Pizzanta Music for my fabulous theme song. You can find him online everywhere you stream your music. Thanks again to Kai Kunipo for making time in his schedule to come chat. And of course, thank you for listening. Without you folks, there wouldn't be much point. Until next time, I hope the night takes you to the same strange and wonderful places it takes me. And remember, if you're not sure what comes next, put a call out into the dark. You never know who's going to pick up. I'll see you next time.